Thank you, Jack. It is now my pleasure to introduce Jeremy Binder-Nay, MBA HKS 20, and your last student speaker. Jeremy was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. He attended the University of Pennsylvania as a Benjamin Franklin Scholar studying politics, philosophy, and economics. He then worked at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, where he developed new approaches to macroeconomic forecasting and crisis readiness. At Sloan, Jeremy was a researcher at MIT Media Lab, an associate at the Inclusive Innovation Challenge, and a fellow at IDEO CoLab. He is also a dual degree candidate at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government pursuing his MPA. His work at HKS includes focus on technology policy and U.S. income inequality. Jeremy will be working in the Global Product Partnerships team at Google this summer in New York City to help forge connections with educational institutions and hospitals in need of tech services.
Thank you for that introduction, Elena. A few weeks into first semester, I got a piece of advice that completely changed how I would carry myself through Sloan. Well, actually, I overheard a piece of advice that somebody gave to somebody else while I was just sitting in the cafeteria in E62. The advice, given by my dear friend, Jared Johnson, to another confused dual degree student was this: be intentional with your time. I would return to that piece of advice continuously over the next 2 years as it took on new meaning. I came to see it as picking a goal and moving towards it. So today, I want to take you all on a journey through time so we can reflect on the time we spent together, but also so we can look ahead and think about how we want to spend our time moving forward. In November of our first semester, our entire class shared a special moment together, though we weren't all together when it happened. Every person was asked to bring in a meaningful object to their communications lab and present it to their core team. Your core team is the group of 7 people you do all your classes with first semester. My core team sat in a small circle and shared stories about out-of-focus photographs, family recipes, and headscarves. When my turn came, I shared something I had never shown anyone outside of my family. It was this: a golden egg. See, this golden egg had been my grandfather's. He spent his entire career opening up grocery stores, and a friend once gave him this as a gift, some sort of supermarket joke, and he kept it on his desk his whole career. I now keep the egg on my desk to remind myself that my story is part of a larger story. Despite the diversity of our objects, my core team shared a same sentiment. Our time here was only possible because of grandparents and parents who had bigger dreams for us, communities who pushed us to excel, mentors who dared us to seek more. Our time at Sloan was not ours alone. First semester was about seeing Sloanies be intentional with their time. I watched people like Jeff Bryan attend every aerospace conference under the sun and help MIT build a miniature satellite because at Sloan, he wanted to explore space. I watched Bo Wages launch a startup from day one that helped previously incarcerated people land well-paid, high-skilled trade jobs. But the trick to being intentional with our time is figuring out how we actually want to spend it. That first big decision comes in second semester. We are finally allowed to pick all our courses, and so we get to choose how to spend our academic time. That second semester, I took Professor Zainab Tan's phenomenal course on management of services. Throughout the class, Professor Tan explained that we needed to invest more in people. We needed more education, more training, better pay, better working conditions, especially for lower wage service workers. In our final lecture in May 2019, Professor Tan left us with a warning. She noted that it is easy to talk about values in a classroom, but as we go off to join companies or to start companies, Change will be hard, but not impossible. She said if we are committed to progress and we are thoughtful with our goals, we might actually build a better tomorrow. I've got to say now, more than ever, I hear Professor Tan's words ring even louder. How many frontline service workers are still waiting for us to answer that call? When I left that final lecture, I found myself returning to that same piece of advice. Be intentional with your time. Third semester is the time for new ideas. We run new events as club presidents, we take on new roles as teaching assistants, and we lead treks around the world. This semester, what I uncovered was I had to leave more space for the powerful force of serendipity. We can be intentional with our time, but we cannot be stubborn with it. One day that third semester, I was bounding up the stairs, running late to class, when another dear friend, Elena Kim, yelled to me from one of those worn leather chairs in Sloan and insisted I had to meet someone. Look, I was already late, just a few feet away from the classroom door. The last thing I wanted to do was talk. But I came back down the stairs, and Elena introduced me to Claire Hersig. Claire and I started chatting, realized we are both deeply committed to improving economic mobility, and since then, we've started working on a venture to combat US income inequality by increasing access to the Earned Income Tax Credit. If I had kept running up those stairs, I may never have gotten started on this work, which has hands down been the most rewarding thing I've done at Sloan. If we lock down every minute of every day, we close ourselves off to opportunity. And when opportunity knocks, we want to be ready. Our ability to embrace these moments of serendipity, these unanticipated moments in time, this is what has prepared us for this new era of the unpredictable and unexpected. Just as we were running up those stairs and just as we were about to get to class, someone called back to us, but this time with an urgent note. And you know how we responded? When the university closed down, students stepped up. We made the most of our time. Changemakers like Benjamin Butbull, Steph McConnell, and Alfonso Martinez helped organize MIT COVID-19 hackathons, where more than 2,800 participants from over 110 countries came together to address new challenges related to the coronavirus. Evan Chapman and Brittany Churchill turned the Sloan Week Out Against Cancer into a totally online experience and brought together more than 100 students and faculty in support of cancer research. I believe there is no group of people in the entire world who is more prepared to handle the unexpected than the 403 of us graduating today. That brings us to this moment where we look forward and ask, how will we be intentional with our time after Sloan? We are graduating at an extraordinary moment in time, but we have prepared each other. We will be the class that went out into the world amidst a global pandemic. And you can be sure that the school will have us come back and speak on way too many panels about it. But know this. The values we learned at MIT are timeless. We learned how to spend our time, how to reinvent our time, and how to make time for the people and priorities that matter most. Time is our most valuable resource. Almost anything else can be recovered, but lost time can never be found again. Today, I feel those same questions pressing on me, just as they did back in the cafeteria in E62. What will we do with the time that lies ahead? How will we be remembered for our work? How will we leave our mark on the world? That first November, we sat in small circles with our core teams, and we recognized that our stories were part of a larger story. Today, we begin a new chapter. Let's ensure that this chapter is better than the last, so that our parents and grandparents and countless more can read it with great pride. Pick a goal, move towards it. To the MIT Sloan class of 2020, as we stretch ourselves across the globe, let's remember to be intentional with our time. Because if we do this right, the ideas and relationships and dreams we had here will march on in perpetuity. But change will be hard. We have more work to do. This work will take time and compassion and intention, but let's begin. Thank you.